Good evening. I would like to call today's meeting to order for September the 3rd, 2019, Little Rock City Board of Directors meeting. We would like to welcome those that are in attendance as well as those watching online, at home, or streaming. Madam Clerk, if you would, please call the roll.
Director Hendricks, Director Richardson, Director Webb, Director Peck, Director Hines, Director Wright, Director Compuris, Director Fordson, Director Adcock, Vice Mayor Wyrick, Mayor Scott.
Present. Let me now recognize Director Kathy Webb for our invocation.
Thank you. Will you please join me in a moment of silence as we lift up all those who have been affected by violence, not only in our city but across our country. We ask for the wisdom to govern amid the conflicting interests and issues of our time. We ask for the sense of the true needs and desires of our residents. Instill in us a keen thirst for justice and rightness. And we ask for the ability to work together in harmony even when we disagree. Amen.
Amen. May y'all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, if you would, please read the consent agenda.
The consent agenda consists of a motion to approve the minutes of the June 18th, 2019, July 9th, 2019, July 23rd, 2019, and August 6th, 2019 Little Rock City Board of Directors meetings. A resolution authorized the city manager to enter into a contract with James A. Rogers Excavating Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $121,305.85 for Bentley Court pavement reconstruction and for the purposes. A resolution authorized the city manager to enter into a contract with Entrench USA Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $54,976.55 for Claybrook Road drainage improvements and for other purposes, funding from the 2012 3/8 capital improvement sales tax and the 2013 limited tax general obligation capital improvement bonds. A resolution authorized the city manager to enter into a contract with Gene Summers Construction Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $169,552.73 for Grant and Buchanan Street drainage improvements and for the purposes, funding from the 2012 3/8 capital improvement sales tax and 2013 limited tax general obligation capital improvement bonds. A resolution authorized the city manager to enter into a contract with Cisneros Family Construction in an amount not to exceed $151,891.28 for Marshall Street sidewalk improvements and for the purposes, funding from the 2012 3/8 capital improvement sales tax and the 2013 limited tax general obligation capital improvement bonds. A resolution authorized the city manager to enter into a contract with Advanced Fluid Technologies Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $200,344.26 for landfill gas control system improvements and expansions and for the purposes. A resolution authorized the city manager to enter into a construction services contract with Bill's Fence Company in an amount not to exceed $150,000 to construct and upgrade fences at the Little Rock Zoo and for the purposes, funding from the 2012 3/8 capital improvement sales tax. A resolution authorized the city manager to enter into a contract with Gene Summers Construction Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $333,541.20 for Polk Street improvements and for the purposes, funding from the 2012 3/8 capital improvement sales tax and the 2013 limited tax general obligation capital improvement bonds. A resolution appropriate $391,338.86 from the 3/8 capital sales and compensating use tax proceeds to the Arkansas Livestock Show Association for capital improvements to the Arkansas State Fairgrounds and for other purposes. That concludes the consent agenda.
There's a motion and second for the option of the consent agenda. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Motion passes. We'll now go into citizens' communication. We have one card from Mr. Henry Droder.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the board, for this opportunity to speak. The last time I stood before you, I was following through on a letter I sent to Kendra Pruitt requesting that my illegal dumping complaint be resurrected because of the manner in which it was mishandled by code enforcement at each managerial level I encountered. In my letter, I chronicled my experience. As I stated then, to close the complaint is to punish me. Mr. Moore, thank you for your response, but addresses the problem without providing solutions. You reference a December 14th complaint, which was actually 2 complaints covering the mishandling of my complaint by the initial manager a month prior. It was his failure to seriously consider my concern and conduct a timely review which caused me to write the December complaint. You also referenced alleged on-site reviews to have occurred after the December complaint, which resulted in non-verification of illegal dumping. My initial complaint was about dumping leaves. There are large oak trees on my property and my neighbor's property in the area I cited. Leaves are constantly falling, the wind blows. I characterized the alleged on-site reviews as perfunctory because it was impossible to expect the terrain to look the same a month after the initial complaint was filed. There also seems to have been overkill in the alleged review. Your response indicated there were 2 reviews, and I can't imagine what differences a second review would have revealed. Insofar as the closing of the complaint, I did not know the alleged on-sites had been conducted and the complaint closed until 5 months later after I mailed a letter to code enforcement requesting the status of my complaints, both of them. However, if you are aware of all that transpired, I ask, how is it that you have chosen to overlook code enforcement's managerial missteps and agree the complaint should be closed? Respectfully, I request a written response. Again, thank you all.
Thank you so much. And we will follow up. Thank you so much. Madam Clerk, would you please read the rest of the group items for the first time?
An ordinance to accept the Allochem annexation to add certain lands to the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, to approve a plan zone development, establish a planned industrial district titled Allochem, short form PID, located at 10,500 Arch Street Pike, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes, an ordinance to reclassify property located in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes, an ordinance to reclassify property located in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes, an ordinance to amend the land use plan in the Interstate 430 Planning District at the southwest corner of Canis Road and Centerview Drive from office to commercial, and for the purposes, an ordinance to reclassify property located in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes, an ordinance to amend the land use plan in the Pinnacle Planning District at 6500, the Divide Parkway, northeast of Chenal Parkway, from residential low density to residential high density, and for the purposes, an ordinance. I think I called that a resolution. That's actually an ordinance. An ordinance to regulate the discharge of industrial wastewater to the public sewer system pertaining to the sewer lines and system within the jurisdiction of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, to comply with the requirements of the United States Environmental Protection Agency at 40 CFR subsection 403, to provide penalties for violations thereof, and to repeal ordinance number 19,895 of December 21st, 2007, to declare an emergency, and for the purposes, first reading.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Motion passes. Third reading. Second reading.
An ordinance to accept the Allochem annexation to add certain lands to the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, to approve a planned zone development, establish a planned industrial district titled Allochem, short form PID, located at 10,500 Arch Street Pike. An ordinance to reclassify property located in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas. An ordinance to reclassify property located in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas. An ordinance to amend the land use plan in the Interstate 430 Planning District at the southwest corner of Canis Road and Centerview Drive from office to commercial, and for the purposes, an ordinance to reclassify property located in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas. An ordinance to amend the land use plan in the Pinnacle Planning District at 6500 The Divide Parkway, northeast of Chenal Parkway, from residential low density to residential high density. An ordinance to regulate the discharge of industrial wastewater to the public sewer system pertaining to the sewer lines and system within the jurisdiction of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, to comply with the requirements of the United States Environmental Protection Agency at 40 CFR Section 403, to provide penalties for violations thereof, and to repeal ordinance number 19,895 to declare an emergency. Second reading.
There's a motion second. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Motion passes. Third reading, please.
An ordinance to accept the Alochem annexation to add certain lands to the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned industrial district titled Alochem, short form PID, located at 10,500 Arch Street Pike. An ordinance to reclassify property located in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas. An ordinance to reclassify property located in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas. An ordinance to amend the land use plan in the Interstate 430 Planning District at the southwest corner of Canis Road and Centerview Drive from office to commercial. An ordinance to reclassify property located in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas. An ordinance to amend the land use plan at the Pinnacle Planning District at 6500 The Divide Parkway, northeast of Chenal Parkway, from residential low density to residential high density. An ordinance to regulate the discharge of industrial wastewater to the public sewer system pertaining to the sewer lines and system within the jurisdiction of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, to comply with the requirements of the United States Environmental Protection Agency at 40 CFR Section 403, to provide penalties for violations thereof, and to repeal ordinance number 19,895 to declare an emergency. Third and final reading.
We've now had three readings. So entertain any more questions. Director Adcock.
And item 16, please.
Item 16.
Yes. The wastewater item.
And the question?
Yes, the question to the applicant, please.
All right.
Yes, ma'am. I am Jamie Ewing, the Director of Environmental Assessment at the Little Rock Water Reclamation Authority, and we are proposing this change to the ordinance.
Okay, you're going to put industrial wastewater into our public system?
Yes, ma'am. We currently have a program that accepts industrial wastewater into our system. That has been in place since 1987. The EPA requires cities over a certain size to have a program to regulate any industrial discharges that come into the system, to make sure that we protect the system and protect the environment.
Okay, are we adding more industrial discharges?
No, ma'am. This does not change any amount that we're already accepting. This is just an update to the ordinance. The ordinance was last updated in 2007, and we went back to review the existing ordinance and to look at other cities and guidance that we have available to us to make a revision. And in fact, we have some substantive changes that will prevent certain discharges like hazardous waste, remediation waste, any other waste without the prior approval of the CEO of the utility.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
That answers my question, Mayor.
Thank you so much, Director Adcock. Director Wright.
Yes, Mayor, I would like clarification on number 14, item 14. It says Ward 6, but I don't believe that is Ward 6. Can somebody clarify that for me?
Mr.
And
Collins.
make sure that if it is in Ward 6, that we correct that in the official record.
It's Ward 5. Item 15 is correct. They're sister ordinances.
It's Ward 5.
Okay, can we get that changed in the official record, Ms. Moore?
It's now been added to the official record. Seeing that there are no other questions regarding these ordinances, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Motion passes. Madam Clerk, would you please read the ordinance for the first time for item number
Mayor,
17?
you have an emergency clause on 16.
Oh, sorry. All those in favor of the emergency clause of these ordinances, please state by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Motion passes. Madam Clerk, would you now please read item number 17 for the first time?
An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned commercial district titled Lots 2 and 3, Chavot Office Park, short form PCD, located at 17,705 Cantrell Road, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes first reading.
There's a motion second. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Motion passes. Second reading.
An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned commercial district titled Lots 2 and 3, Chavot Office Park, short form PCD, located at 17,705. Second reading.
There's a motion second. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Motion passes. Third reading.
An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned commercial district titled Lots 2 and 3, Chavot Office Park, short form PCD, located at 17,705 Cantrell Road. Third and final reading.
We're now opening up this public hearing. Any questions in regards to this particular public hearing? Any particular questions in regards to this public hearing? Any particular questions in regards to this public hearing? This public hearing is now closed. Are there any, right now, motion to pass this particular ordinance that we have three readings? There's a motion second. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Motion passes. Thank you, parliamentarian. Director Richardson.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. A couple of quick questions. I don't know if it's a trifecta. It may be involving you, Bruce, and definitely Tom. But Tom, can we get a summary on the requirements for FOI requests? I've been told that people have to have proof of citizenship in order to have those go through, and also the costs associated with that, whether the people are responsible for the flash drives or discs or DVDs with respect to getting those FOI requests met. And can you give us either a brief explanation, certainly email outlining everything, all the requirements, so we can make sure everyone is aware of that?
Director Richardson, I can do that now. The Arkansas FOI applies only to Arkansas citizens. The U.S. Supreme Court has upheld the ability of states to so limit it. We have a number of companies that wish to call into localities and get numbers of vendors, numbers of residents and other things so that they can then deal with them in terms of marketing, and we don't honor those. And we take the position that if we honored any, we would have to honor all, so we don't honor any. The methodology of showing that they're an Arkansas resident can be one of several things. A driver's license is most commonly it, or a state identification card is one of the items that can be used. We had a situation last week with a woman who had gone through the process earlier in the year. The FOI coordinator from that time had verified her involvement, but evidently didn't write her name down. So when the new person asked again, they thought it was asking a second time and it was merely just trying to get the information. I think that the department's taken a better stand on that. In terms of costs, the city cannot charge anything for an FOI request except the actual cost of reproduction, even if there has to be redaction, which is typically significant. For the most part, for the last several years, it was something we could do with a scan that would end up being 25 or 30 or 40 pages, but we've gotten a number of them. They're multi-years and multi-individuals and require a great deal of redaction of information that can't be released under FOI. We need to be able to maintain our methodology of knowing exactly what we gave out so it won't be claimed that it wasn't given out. And so when it gets to be a large amount, then we put it on a thumb drive, which we sell at cost, or we put it on an external hard drive, which others in this room know exactly what that is, but I don't. But in any event, we also sell those at cost, and that's only for extremely large amounts. FOI allows you to say that if there is going to be a cost in advance, because of the anticipated size of the request, the individual doesn't have to ask for it. We let the individual know, and if they tell us they're not going to pay it, then we don't honor the request.
So proof of citizenship is a requirement And we're working on is this our third or second FOI coordinator?
I don't know the answer to that. It's not our first.
Well, yeah. So who's responsible for the training when that person is hired? Is that done by your office, or do we have some kind of external training to make sure they're fully aware of everything you just explained to us?
Handled by Human Resources, except for the police department. We do some training. I don't know that we do all the training that they've got.
And my next question, and Bruce, this may kind of go back and forth between you and the mayor, since we had a newsletter from the 12th Street station today. And Bruce, as you know, when we first started our 12th Street work revitalization project back in August of 2008, that 12th Street station, along with the Children's Library, was two institutional anchors that were utilized to hopefully draw more attention and more resources into redeveloping that area. The first part of it, Bruce, is we talked about this before. I think you and I and Senator Elliott and a couple other people talked about when police officers are having shift changes, they're doing those on 13th Street between Pine and Cedar, which sometimes blocks part of 13th Street, which is one of the interesting ways I think that we are either improving or hurting our community relations with people who live within that community who have problems with that. And in addition to that, Bruce, I think we spent a substantial amount of money building a brand new parking lot to address those issues, and that parking lot is not being utilized at all. We can go by that today. Right now, maybe one car at the most. Go by there tomorrow at noon, maybe one car at the most, if one at all. And I think the fact that we're not utilizing that is certainly, I won't say a total waste of money, because we did it in partnership with Hoover Methodist Church. So I think they use it on Sundays and Wednesdays and days when they have or funerals or other occasions. But what's interesting is we're not utilizing that, and that parking lot is not even a half a block away from the station. So I think we're still having problems with officers having shift changes between Pine and Cedar on 13th Street, which I think creates a lot of problems, which generates a lot of complaints to me about that practice and what, if anything, we're going to do about that in terms of minimizing that or eliminating that or figuring out ways that we can better utilize that brand new parking lot that we spent a substantial amount of money building. Mayor, that could be for you since the police.
I was just going to share that you and I and Bruce and the chief can sit down and discuss this and make sure we address it.
Great. We have to let Rebecca and Rachel know, so we won't get in trouble. The second part, Mayor, when our new and current police chief was hired, I think one of the things that made him attractive to a number of people in the audience that night during that forum was he didn't agree that we had to have a residency requirement, but he did agree that if you had a take-home car, you would have to live in the city of Little Rock. I want to know, how far along are we with respect to addressing that policy issue? Because I think, and I'm not talking about a P.O. box, I'm not talking about using a family member address, I'm talking about all the way to the point where we can establish somebody's voter's registration in a particular city or county to address that issue. Because I think that's one of the things that, Bruce, we had talked about at first when Director Hendricks brought up the residency requirement. We're utilizing take-home cars as incentives for people, officers who live in the city of Little Rock. And I know when the chief gave his presentation that night, he didn't agree with residency requirement, but he did say if you had a take-home car, you had to live in the city of Little Rock. And do we have any progress or update, Mayor, on how far along are we with that? And then mechanism in place to really identify whether or not officers live in the city or just using a P.O. box or a relative's address to the extent that we're checking voter registration or homestead tax credit. I mean, there has to be some ways we can actually make sure if we're going to implement that it's fail-proof and that we have something that's going to work to the advantage of the city.
Thank you so much for that comment and question. You're correct. Chief Keith Humphrey did share that he would address that particular issue and wanted to take some time to make certain that he came with a proactive plan on how to address it. He's been in office now since mid-April. That is on his priority list. He's been going through a number of different things, and I would suspect to have some sort of plan, if not by the end of the year, first quarter of next year.
Thank you, Mayor, and I look forward to meeting with you and Bruce and the chief about the parking issue, because I think it's really, really,
With Rachel and Rebecca.
and Rachel and Rebecca, and I think it's really, really hurting our relationships with that part of the community. And I think that's one of the interesting dynamics since I've been on this board. The places where we have the greatest need for police presence happen to be the places where we have the worst community police relationships. So that correlation to me is really, really interesting, and I think things like that have an impact on the mayor.
I totally agree with you.
Move to adjourn.
There's a motion second to adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Now, before we adjourn, it is 4:26. I hope every board meeting can be 26 minutes. Adjourn.
I'm with you.